Hey, guys, it is Allison. I am the host of your show, Allison Answers Mission Awake. I cannot wait to sit down with you today and go over how we are going to crush the mediocrity in your life that has been plaguing our society since the beginning of time. I cannot wait to have a real deal conversation that includes intelligence, fun, excitement, and real actionable steps to make a real difference in the life that you're living now and making it into something you can be damn proud of and excited to live. Sit down, put on your damn seatbelt, and get ready for the ride of your life. Hey guys, how are you today? My guest on Allison Answers is this very unique and incredible woman that I'm excited to share with you. I'm going to read a little bit about her because I feel like what she has is so extensive. But one of the things that I found so profound about her is that when she wrote to me, she said, "My passion is the power of wisdom. It is a currency that no one can take away from us. And it is the only currency that can solve issues in our world. So many people are sitting on a gold mine and don't even know it." And what I loved about her, she said, if your listeners could benefit from learning about the value of true currency in the form of knowledge, wisdom, skills, gifts, and values we all innately possess, I would love to share that and contribute to their entrepreneurial or life transition journey. I find Mary Henderson very fascinating because she is an entrepreneur, which you guys know that I am, and I run in those circles. But also what it is about her is that she is able to also describe, she went on a 12-month sabbatical where she went on a spiritual journey to really find out about herself and about what her real talents are. Mary is a transformational leader and an internationally recognized personal branding and online business specialist. Mary helps service industry experts systematize, digitalize, and commercialize their knowledge, wisdom, and skills into a scalable and profitable online business and a brand so they become an authority in their niche or industry. She has 20 years of experience in building 7- and 8-figure businesses and building high-performance sales teams in the IT sector, and 15 years delivering online solutions for large and small businesses. You wonder why I need to read this, because it's extensive. She's been featured in many publications and is regarded a thought leader in the digital sector. Mary's point of reference is her personal branding technology. She has the ability to define a person's personal brand essence with precision that can be applied across all communication touch points. When you engage Mary, you engage and access 40,000 plus hours of experience, knowledge, and wisdom in personal branding, which is really interesting because so much of our world today is about personal branding. If you look at social media, people, even just like younger people who are just living their life, even when they're trying to be employed somewhere, they have a personal brand that they're putting out there in the marketplace, which I find very interesting. It's a big change in our culture. So what she does is she has wisdom in personal branding and client profiling, lead generation strategies, online program development, sales leadership, content development, and digital acumen. Mary is also the founder and publisher of the Industry Expert magazine. She embraces technology and social media in a big way, and her followers are growing daily. Mary is a heart-centered, compassionate, and tenacious entrepreneur who thrives on human transformation and witnessing people fulfill their dreams. I simply love this, and I think she's going to be an incredible asset to all that we do here. And I really hope that you'll listen in, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you just want to, find your wisdom, find the essence of who you are and your own ability to move forward in your life and create all that you can. Not everybody is called to be an entrepreneur. We entrepreneurs also need people working, within our companies and really being support and being such an integral part of a larger mission. So whatever your call is in your life, even if it's in your marriage or your relationships, you want to find your wisdom and you want to find your true calling, please just listen in with Mary, because I think you'll really gain a lot today. Hey, guys, how are you today? It is Allison from Allison Answers and Logger Counseling Services. As you just heard me explain, I have Mary Henderson today as my guest, and I'm super excited to have her. And I'm not the excited that everybody hears on a podcast, like, oh, I'm so excited to have this guest, which becomes like a rote answer. I'm genuinely excited to have her because I feel like I'm going to gain so much from just having her on the show, because the things that I've already discussed with her off camera just align so much with what you hear me talk about and what I really believe. And I just can't wait for you guys to learn about Mary's way of using wisdom as currency and her way of just becoming uber successful and helping others to do that through this really cool way that she aligns spiritually, and a whole shenanigans going on here. So without any further ado, I just want to welcome Mary Henderson. I'm so happy you're here, Mary. Really, I'm genuinely, you know that. I was giggling before we got on. So would you mind, I love your story, how you decided to go on a spiritual journey. Could we begin with just your backstory or anything you'd like to share, how you've overcome some stuff?
Absolutely. Thank you, Allison, for having me. I'm equally excited to be here, so the feeling's very mutual. My backstory to that led me to that spiritual sabbatical, Allison, you said it before beautifully. I was always a people pleaser, always trying to fit the box, making sure that, I was the golden child for my parents. I was raised with a serial narcissistic mother. I mean, serial. So that set a foundation of being a people pleaser, high achiever, which is where I channeled all of that emotion that I didn't understand how to channel and how to deal with. So I put that into my career and became a real high achiever. This is in the corporate landscape. And then I decided that I really wanted to start my own business. So in 2005 was when I actually started my entrepreneurial journey. This is my third business. My first business, I started creating and developing products specifically around tech peripherals like laptop bags and cables and things of this nature that were really sexy and very designery. And I got a contract with a major retailer here in Australia, did a lot of manufacturing in China. And then after that business, I started my software company, and which I had for 7 years. And it wasn't, and that software company, Allison, was one of those situations where it was successful on the outside. I was turning over multi seven figures per year. We became very successful very quickly. I had an infrastructure, a team, but I actually hated that business. Here I am starting up a business from ground up. I've got people that I'm managing, turning over money, driving a beautiful car, living in a beautiful apartment. All of the outside facade looked amazing. I was dying inside. And it wasn't until 2011, it was September the 8th, 2011 at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, where I gave birth to my son. And 3 hours after I gave birth to him, I reached out to get my purse, to get my lip balm, and my business card fell out on the bed. And as I reached out to pick up the business card to put it back in my purse, I suddenly held that card and I had this massive epiphany right in that moment. And I thought, oh my God, my whole life has just been a series of labels. Like, this business card is actually defining how I fit into society, how I'm validated in society. And then it was in that moment where I just had this, I can't even explain it. It was almost like, and it wasn't you know how people say in a near-death experience, they see
Yeah.
their life flashing? It
Yes.
was like that. It was exactly like that. It was
Yes.
like a PowerPoint presentation in front of me, and all I could see was my life as pleasing everybody, fitting in a box and a label, tick, tick, tick. And suddenly I realized that this business that I had built and I owned for 7 years, I'm like, oh my God, the reason why I built this business was to get validation from my parents. And I wanted, especially my narcissistic mother, to tap me on the shoulder and say, oh, I'm so proud of you. Even though you didn't finish your degree, you naughty girl, but you've done okay. And this was the validation that I had been seeking. Can you believe it?
Wow.
So I knew in that moment, I just need to leave. I need to give up everything, my life, my friends, labels, credit cards, everything that I had known that equaled Mary Henderson. I had to get rid of that. So I, 2 weeks after that, actually resigned from my own company. My accountants were like, I think you're a little bit hormonal and you're making radical decisions. And I'm like, oh no, this is a soul decision. Trust me. I know exactly where I'm going. Anyway, so I ended up thankfully merging my business with another company. And January 1st, 2012, Alison, I promise you, swear on my kid's life that I walked to my computer and I Googled, how do I change my life? And as I did that, all these TED speakers suddenly appeared on my Google search, and I'm clicking and I'm looking for answers, of course, outside of me, looking for answers. Anyway, I watched this TED talk, and it was a professor in philosophy who just spoke about the power of love. And I'm like, okay, I need that guy. That guy's my mentor. I need him. And so I hassled his EA like for months. I even recorded myself on a video to tell him why he needed to take me on as a student. Anyway, he ended up taking me on as a student, mentored me for 12 months. I had another mentor who was an expert in the emotional body because I had a lot of stored emotions. And I knew that there was something wrong with me emotionally at a cellular level after I read Dr. Candace Pert's book, Molecules of Emotion. That was another opening my heart and mind to, okay, I got some serious issues that I need to deal with. And I also, at the same time, did a 12-month course at Quantum University, and I studied quantum medicine.
No.
I didn't want to ever become a quantum medicine doctor. I just wanted to understand myself, Alison, at a cellular level. And so in that 12-month sabbatical, my mentor, the professor in philosophy, he was the one that really opened me up and allowed me to appreciate that I was sitting on a gold mine, which was made up of my knowledge, my wisdom, and my skill, which is now what I call why I'm so passionate about that notion that wisdom is a currency. So that's a bit of a backstory.
Oh my God, I love this story. It's so fantastic. But it's incredible. And I didn't realize the piece of your story about having a narcissistic mother. And I can't just not touch on it for a second, but it's so interesting how other people externally, I say this a lot, which I'm sure you know about this, that from 0 to 7, we're in a hypnotic state, theta brainwave, right? And basically being programmed into someone's concept of who we're supposed to be is such a profound and common experience, I think, even if you don't have a narcissistic mother. But having a narcissistic mother has all these other elements to it and I know that there are listeners who have that. And it's a really, your decision to remove it on a cellular level is just, I love your tenacity and your willingness to do that, to jump off. So could you explain to us how we can use our wisdom? And I believe it's currency. And I just would love to hear about how you do that and what you feel about that.
I think that what we do as human beings, especially women, Alice, and I see this all the time. 95% of my clients are women, and I see it all the time. Women have a tendency to just look at their past history as just a sheer memory. It's like, oh, everyone does that.
Mm,
Everyone's into sales, everyone's this, everyone's a clinician, everyone's, I'm not really anything special.
mm,
And I think that I used to say that too, actually. And until I realized um, that when you go inside yourself and you start to see all of the learned skills that have become your real life experience, when you've accumulated a lot of knowledge, when you have natural gifts, natural talents, when you have core values, when you merge all of that together, that's pretty special because in that inventory, I call that your internal inventory, therein lies your purpose. We're looking for purpose from a self help standpoint. This is why self help is so dangerous because it constantly leads people to look outside of themselves.
mm.
If
Yes.
somebody has accumulated 10, 15, 20 years of experience in an area of specialization, let's call it accounting, for example, that's thousands and thousands of hours, Alison, of learned knowledge, learned skill. There's a lot of wisdom packed in that. And yet a lot of people look at that and say, but I don't want to be an accountant. Like I know I've got a lot of knowledge and wisdom, but I don't want to be I hate being an accountant. And my answer to that is, but the accountant is the label. You're focusing on the label, which is the accountant. Let's look at the inventory and let's understand does that inventory look like if we were to unpack that as an Excel spreadsheet? Like seriously, let's just unpack it all and let's see what it looks like in the form of data. What could we actually do with that? And what people find is that in there's a lot of gold. And for example, someone might say, oh, I really spent a lot of time mentoring young women, for example, in the last 20 years in my role. And that was the part of my role that I really loved. I did this, I did that. And I'm thinking, but you're an accountant, yet there's real leadership skills in the last 20 years. Well, what will you do with that? What about somebody that has spent years and years and years on their personal development, learned modalities, somebody that has studied who am I at a cellular level for years and years and years? What do you do with that knowledge? Like, does that just become a memory? Or could we incorporate that as part of the purpose and now go out and serve in the world? And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about wisdom as well, Alison, is that I truly believe that as we evolve as a world and as human beings, the consciousness in our world at the moment is growing exponentially. People are really waking up, not just to what's going on in the world, but waking up inside their world. That's the most important part that we need to look at. Everyone's so focused outside of them. If the outside world is destructive, trust me, your inside world is destructive as well. So we've got to go back to the individual level and really understand, what's going on inside of me. And until we have actually start that journey of self-discovery, true self-discovery, we then start to appreciate that wisdom that's made up of your knowledge, your wisdom, your skills, your gifts, your talents, your value system, all of that becomes appreciated because suddenly you do see it as currency and a way that you can take it into the world and serve businesses or individuals. And this will be, in my view, the highest currency that will be in demand, which is wisdom, moving forward. There is no other way to solve complex problems in the world without wisdom. And use this example all the time, Alison. If a CEO of a Fortune 500 company was in a crisis, who are they going to call on? Somebody that has 20, 30 years experience in that area of specialization that they can solve that complex problem, or an Instagram influencer who has 1 million followers. Who will they call on? Do you see what I'm saying?
I
So
do.
we put the wrong emphasis on
Yes.
the wrong people. And
Mhm.
so I'm not interested in that whole self-proclaimed influencer, mindset people. I'm not interested in that. To me, that's just, it's here today, gone tomorrow. It's not a long-term sustainable business model. Remember, as you get older, you do get wrinkles, so unless you can sustain that look, then you're constantly living in this false facade.
Mm.
What I'm saying is go back to your natural state of being, understand what it looks like and what it feels like, what it's made up of, which is your wisdom, because it's so much easier to work from that place of being in your natural state of being rather than wanting to be like somebody else. So I hope I've been able to capture what I mean by wisdom. That I know I've packed a lot in there, but essentially, we need to learn how to love who we are and be that person.
You have packed so much wisdom in the discussion on wisdom, and it really, you really are displaying genius right now, and it's so needed. And I'm trying to think about the right way to ask this question because I. So what I'm tell me what you think about this. So this is how I'm hearing all of this that you're saying. I'm also hearing that because we're like a moving organism, right? Like we're in motion. So we're growing, right? So it just depends on which direction, we can, or if we're halted and, stifled. But when you're describing all these different aspects of a person that are wise, that are wisdom within them, it could just be, skills or even trauma. Or if I were to say about your mom, like
Mm,
what you learned, the wisdom you've gained by
yes.
working through that's the energy and motion, which is wisdom also, which creates all of you, is what I'm trying to get to
Yes.
somehow.
Yes.
So, right? Do you want to
Yes.
speak on that? Like, do you follow what I mean? That
I
we're talking about
totally do.
a little
I
live
totally
thing.
do.
Hmm.
Yes. Alison, you're absolutely right. I mean, let's just go back to that idea of, being raised by a serial narcissistic man.
Yeah.
I have to add the word serial because
Tell us.
he is still is a serial narcissistic person. I mean, could you imagine, and I know a lot of women and people that are listening to this, not just women, but people who can relate to this. Could you imagine being raised by somebody who constantly is projecting their idea of not just who she wants you to be, but also how she feels about herself? So you're constantly getting this projection of pulling you down to the common denominator, constantly, constantly. And there's this fight going on inside of you that eventually, when you become an adult, you've still got that fight inside of you until you actually face it. So, my healing journey, if you will.
Can I interrupt you? Because I want to just
Yes.
ask for you to explain that to people, because what you just described as a serial narcissist, like her idea of herself. And then when you describe yourself as a common denominator, could you just explain it more? So like an example, like how, so people could understand that.
My mother would, and I was conscious of this when I was even 8. Could you
Yeah.
believe it? She would make, so for example, I always had still do, very big imagination. I lived more in my imagination than in reality when I was younger to escape from that reality. But it was such a gift at the same time, which I didn't realize. But what she would do is, like, I would have these dreams. For example, my voice is professionally trained from the age of 5 to 20. So it's one thing that both my parents recognize. Well, okay, she's got a voice, so let's give her, let's take her to singing lessons, and that'll kind of shut her up, type of
Are you
thing.
going to sing for us?
No.
Okay.
Somebody asked me to do that yesterday, and I'm like, no.
I would love it. Okay.
But the thing is, Alison, that it was, for me, it was self-expression. It's all it was. I was trying so hard to activate the artist in me, which was really my creative expression at a soul level. That's what I was trying to do all those years, to stay sane. Because all those dreams that I had, for example, every dream that I had no matter what it was, oh, I'm going to marry somebody like this, or I'm going to be a rock star on stage, or I'm going to, and my mother at any opportunity would say, who do you think you are? Oh, as if you're going to do that. "Oh, that's never going to happen to you." So
Mm,
this was constant. This was my normal response. So what happens is that when you hear that all the time,
mm,
you become programmed. And so my natural reaction would always be internally, there was a volcano erupting all the time. And so I learned how to live with this notion that if I express my dreams, I will be punished. That
mm.
was at a cellular level what I was dealing with. So that healing journey took a long time, Alison, for me to actually unpack it all. I'm going to say that it was really, really, really hard. And by the way, that journey of healing never stops, in my view. I'm constantly, constantly on that journey. I
Yes.
feel very comfortable in sitting in my discomfort. I feel very comfortable in owning up to the truth and dealing with those emotions because I program myself to be like that. So I can transcend that feeling of the non-beneficial emotions very, very quickly because I've trained myself to do that.
Could
So
you tell
just
people
going
how
back,
you do it? Because it's really
oh my God, yes.
that's
Oh,
gold right
yes.
there.
That
Mhm.
this is
That's
the
it.
greatest gift, Alison, that I've been able to give myself,
Yes.
this healing journey. And one thing, and I it's been a work in progress. It's not just something that you don't read a book and go, "Oh, yes, fabulous. Now
Right.
I've figured it all out." It doesn't work like that. I wish it did. Um, the healing process for me was also connecting with a much higher version of myself. Like, I do spend a lot of time journaling. I spend a lot of time in prayer. I really, really have my version of conversations with God, and
Mhm.
it's really helped me in my healing phase as well. But what I like to do is I I have taught myself how when something in my external reality has shown up and I don't like the feeling of it, or it's triggered me, or it's challenged me, I'm uncomfortable with it. Anything. It could be somebody has said something, I've seen something, I read something, somebody said some. Even my mother, till this day, she might say something, although it's very rare. But even if she does, what I do is I don't just walk away and say, "Oh, everything's okay. I'm fine." I'm not the "I'm fine" sort of a person. What I do is I find space wherever I am, whether it's in my car, at home, sitting on my bed. Even if I'm in a shopping center, I'll just sit in a cafe or somewhere in that moment, and I just stop and I just feel the emotion. I don't look like I'm meditating or anything like that. I just sit quietly and I allow my body to feel the emotion, the discomfort. And I really, really go there. And because you can feel it in your body. That's, to
Yes.
me, that's the
Mhm.
starting point, is transcending it out. And but it's also understanding what is the truth here. Like, what is the real truth? Why am I feeling this? And the truth could be, I'm jealous, I'm envious, I feel like I'm being punished, I feel like I can't speak up, whatever it is. But we have to get to that truth. That's very
Yes.
important. It's a very
Yes.
important piece of the puzzle, because when you can confront the truth, then you've freed yourself, you've owned up to it. Where else is there to go after you've owned up to the truth? There's nowhere to go. Once you've owned up to the truth, that's it. You're halfway there. And then becoming comfortable being uncomfortable, I think, is the best
Mm.
way I can describe feeling that emotion. Sometimes I could sit for 5 minutes and I've transcended that out. And other times it could be an hour. And I do that almost on a daily basis, because, and it's not because I'm frightened of my emotions. I welcome my emotions. It's just that I don't need them. They're non-serving. And the other thing, Alison, is that it's also control of the mind as well, because the mind plays unbelievable tricks. And again, going back to the narcissistic mother, that was feeding that what I would call my mind virus, and it was feeding the mind virus,
Yes.
giving me ideas and thoughts of who I am, which
Yeah.
was not the truth. And
Mhm.
I always said, even to my children, you have to think of the thoughts that your mind give you are mostly not true. And you have to look at it like when you have a dream and something bad in your dream happens and you wake up in the morning, you don't wake up in the morning and think, oh my God, that dream is going to control my life now. And, that's who I am. You wake up and you go, I had a bad dream, and you move on with your day. And it's the same with my thoughts. I see my thoughts that are negative or or not that are not constructive as just a dream, and I'm like, oh, it's just a thought. That's not going to control me, and I try and move on from that. Even though I do have exercises that I do for that as well, but the emotional side for me and coming face to face with the truth is such just that exercise alone is so healing and so freeing at the same time.
Mary, this right here, I love what you're saying because again, I'm like drawn into you and all the things that you're talking about because I wish I could say this in a very, very succinct way, but I don't think I can. But the thing that you're describing, I always think it's kind of silly. I think about emotion almost like blowing your nose or going to the bathroom. It's a bodily function. It's if you can move it through your body. Like, isn't it interesting that if we get like, if we're afraid of it, because you're saying I'm not afraid of it, which is clear because if you're afraid of it, then we don't let it move through, right? We stop it, which seems like it's the illusion of transcending it by stopping it. And I'm always trying to find a way to communicate to people that I'm not a prima donna because I'm focused on the beauty, like we were talking about, and the way that I see things is through a good lens. But by being able to process through the emotion, that's how you can get there. And like, just the thought that comes to me while you were saying is that truth is a pathway to all freedom. When we arrive at that bottom line truth, you're immediately free.
Immediately.
That's once you get there, you understand the source. That's
Yes,
it. It
you're
doesn't
free
control you anymore.
at all. Absolutely.
Right? And anger, like let's say just anger, and then I want you to just take off because anger, I would say, is fear's bodyguard. It's the secondary emotion. So it's like we were discussing before that there's only two emotions, love and fear. And what category does it fit under? But
Yeah.
when you find out, people think, oh, I'm just angry and justifying it as an because of an external thing, when really it's not even anger. I mean, it's an expression toward something. It's a reaction to a much more vulnerable feeling. When you find the feeling, you don't have to feel the reaction anymore. Yes. So I just
Absolutely.
want to hear you, whatever you want to say about that.
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree with you, because for me there were a lot of other underlying emotions
Yeah.
like punishment.
Yes.
Was one. I thought that or even the relationships that I was attracting in my life were all based on this unkindness, just attracting people that were an extension of my mother, essentially. Like there was just this ongoing story. The chapter kind of never ended. It just changed the
Yes.
characters.
Yes.
And so this is why you're absolutely spot on. Fear and love, and underneath those, there's a plethora of other thoughts, emotions, feelings that fall underneath that.
Yeah.
And one of my mentors, Alison, he made a very good point. He said, if emotions and feelings were taught at school, we would have such a high emotional intelligence society. And you know what? He's so right, because a lot of people are so frightened of processing their emotions, and it gets stored. And you can see this with young boys, that get told at home, boys don't cry, boys don't do this. And in my home, I have 2 boys. It's the complete opposite. It's like, cry, get it out, feel it, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
because I truly believe that, emotional trauma, is is an important healing journey. In fact, it should be a priority because because what happens, it clouds every aspect of your life. And also we we can't we find it difficult as a society to actually just sit still and just be in that space of receiving and giving. And a lot of people, they want to receive and get rich and do this, and it's all do. But I don't see very many people being comfortable with just being, and just being in that place of reflection. I spent a lot of time in full of reflection. I'd spent a lot of time journaling. I spent a lot of time just in silence. And I have found that for me, that is the greatest medicine I've ever been able to give to myself, and even just through, ailments, things that just show up on my body. And I'm curious, it's like, oh, why did I get that rash for? Like, what's going on? So I have a lot of self-inquiry. I'm curious, why did I get that rash? I don't go to the doctor. That's not my first, point of contact. It's like the curiosity, this self-inquiry. What is going on here? I talk to that higher power. Show me, what is that? What am I not seeing? What is the truth here? What do I need to come face to face with? Lo and behold, isn't that amazing that within a 24-hour period, suddenly you just find the answer, or it comes to you, you read something, open up a web browser, and it's like, oh my God, and oh, that's interesting. That's kind of looks like what I'm inquiring about. So it really, we live in a world that is made up of a lot of other people's projections: media, school system, our parents, friends, extended family. Everyone's projecting on you. And it's all based on everyone's life experience. So people can only project what they know. And a lot of people just are living a very limited life. And I think that when you rise above that and you can look at that, you just suddenly wake up and you're like, I don't want that person's projections. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in that one's. I'm not interested in that one. And yes, sometimes it's a very lonely path. And you said it before, you've found your tribe. You've got to find tribes to belong
Yeah.
to that can empower you and move you in the right direction, especially toward your goal. And you can help those people move them one step toward their goal. But yet we find ourselves living in a society, Alison, where everyone wants to be the same. Everyone's sharing the same knowledge. Everyone's reading the same books. Everyone's got access to the same. So where is the differentiation? Where is the growth if we're all in the same group, talking the same language, reading the same books?
Yes.
I don't want to be there. I want to be with people that don't rely on those self-help books. They're getting their knowledge from some other realm, like they're in the quantum realm, and they're bringing in all these downloads that are unheard of, but yet they make sense, so we have to stop this idea of being comfortable living in other people's projections, because that actually also is a part of the healing journey as well.
Oh my goodness, girl. I didn't realize what sisters we are. Holy shit. Okay. So the quantum. Okay. So
Yeah.
basically, we have access to infinite
Yes.
intelligence,
Yes.
infinite
Absolutely.
wisdom, and the unbelievable. See, this is like so perfect. I feel like this is layered to like forever. That
Mhm.
small, I always say, like, small is a new big. And like we're this idea of taking the pockets of time, those little moments of space, and silence, in the nothingness, is where all the frequencies of genius are.
Exactly.
Yes. So it's almost like feudal, like we've been taught, we've been duped. I really believe the school system, the
Yes.
medical system, the
Yes.
mental health system, like we will not do what we're taught in school. I'm telling you right now. So basically, it's like, where is wisdom really? and I believe it's in the silence. It is the going in. The whole world is going out to solve inner problems, right? We just said that. But I love everything about you. You're like my fast friend forever. But
I love you.
I'm collecting my tribe right now, a different one. Sorry, tribe.
I love it. I love
No,
it.
but like, so now, if we were to, so you are clearly successful, and it's almost like, I feel, tell me if this is true about you. I'm curious. So we have a mom who is a narcissist, who will, in some ways, depending upon the child, can completely crush them, and they're totally not functioning, or they can be such high level functioners because now they're going to succeed in everything. They're going to be
Yes.
perfect at everything. So now we have that, right? And then, so you have that kind of almost like built in you in this disordered type of a way, but now we extract the gold out of that, right? Which is your path, which is so cool. So now you show people the way to success through these channels of wisdom, right? I mean, this is what I understand about you, right? Is this what you do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I take people, I mean, this is the thing, Alison, this is what's so crazy. What I do is the only thing I know how to do. It is my natural state. It is based on 22 years of my experience. So, I I allow people to open up, and I'm like the inventory collector, and I'm like, okay, let me just step inside your soul and let me pull out all of your internal inventory that you believe doesn't have value, you haven't seen or discovered, and so I pull it all out literally on an Excel spreadsheet. I'm not joking. It's just like lots and lots of information, and then I take that information and then I convert that into a solution. So based on their natural state of being, okay, so there's nothing outside of them that they can't do in that Excel spreadsheet. And then what I do is I take that and I'm like, okay, this is, oh my God, like this is the solution. This is the complex problem they can solve. There's an audience, there's a business, there's an industry, there's a niche out there that actually need this solution. And this person is a specialist in this area. They don't even know it. And so we start off with that and we systemize that whole process. And now they have a methodology. We wrap their brand around it, their personal brand, which really is another way of saying, this is who you are in your natural state of being. This is your authentic self. This is how God made you. This is your soul that's going to shine through, and people are going to connect with that part of you. So people like to say, oh, I'm going to teach you how to build your personal brand. And I'm like, sorry, but what are you actually building? Like, seriously, how do you build a personal brand? You can't build a personal brand. You can only define someone's personal brand essence. So all you can do, and in there lies their brand truth, their brand story. It's like I just gave you my backstory, and it's so connected to what I do now. 100%. There's no disconnect. And then we take them, so we do the branding, we systemize, we build digital assets to make sure that they're providing the external world ecstatic brand experiences, because I want people to feel me, Alison. I want people to touch all of my assets and go, oh wow, oh my God, yes, yes, yes. And then we wrap layers in their lead generation strategy. But
What do you
all of
mean
that,
by, when you say digital assets? Could you explain what you mean? Are you talking about
yeah,
the content? Like, what do you, yeah,
content, website, lead
yeah,
magnets,
yeah,
masterclasses,
got it.
anything that allows you to experience me, we build assets around that,
Wow,
really meaningful,
beautiful.
not just dumb down masterclasses because we want to dumb down society. I want to empower people that cross my path. I'm going to give you an experience that you will never forget. That's my mindset. And then once the layers of the lead generation strategies are set in, then you have to become it, Alison. And this is the key, because most people are like, I can teach you how to implement, I can teach you how to do that. Yes, the doing is actually becoming that business owner actually is really easy. Knowing how to do it and become it is very difficult. And so becoming it is probably the part of what I do, which brings so much joy in my life, because I get to see transformation in real time, like real time. And I couldn't do all of this had I not had my narcissistic mother. Like, because that
Right.
healing journey and
Yes.
all of those modalities that I learned that have empowered my life, changed my life, I now pass that baton onto my clients. How cool is that?
You know what? It is like you are, ah, like a gem. The
Thank you.
wisdom, really, seriously. And it's like all the ingredients of our life just thrown in, into a bowl, you know, and
Huh?
they're all like, even your description of sitting with your emotion or any of that, it's like you're allowing all of yourself
Yes.
to create this formula of who you really are and not rejecting any parts of yourself. We're so taught to be divisive and compartmentalize ourselves. This is good, this isn't, this, so I'm going to shut this down, whatever. And like what you're describing is something that's not really happening. Like you're describing something you have, like you're going to be like a quadrillionaire. You should be. Like maybe you could run the country or something.
It
Seriously.
would be my pleasure. Could you
Yes.
imagine?
Could I be in your cabinet if that's
Oh
not?
my God. Oh, Alison, you and I together, we would just rock.
Oh,
Like, oh my God.
and just like not get stressed at all.
Yeah.
Like
We'll be
not
like,
even a little, but we
we'll
have to sit with our
be,
emotion for a moment.
exactly. It's like, excuse me, just pause that press conference for a moment. We just
Yes.
need to, just sit here quietly.
Someone asks a really mean question and we're like, just,
I'll just have to
oh,
joke with
that's it. It's my mean mother. I got it.
that.
That's not what you, so it's okay. We're good.
I
And then you
love it.
could answer the question. But so, wow, there's so much I want to talk to you about. So, okay, back it up. All right. So you take this person's life right
Yes.
now, and it's on a spreadsheet, which I freaking love. This is so
Yeah.
cool.
Of course. Of course.
Okay. So now what you're doing is you're kind of helping people find themselves,
Mhm.
all of their ingredients, and then express their soul and their purpose on earth, basically.
As a
Is
commercial
that it?
business. As a commercial business. So
That
there
actually brings
surely
in money,
money, exactly,
cash
as a
flow.
commercial business, because that's what I was saying before about the
Yes.
personal branding part.
Yes.
If you can't commercialize that personal brand, what do you do with it? That's my point, so people don't
Tell
think
us.
logically. Right. Well, the thing is that if you're creating this brand around Allison and all your colors and your fonts and your website and your assets, everything looks sexy, but you're not actually having a conversation with an individual or a business. So, okay, well, what does your branding do? Like, what is its purpose? So,
Yes.
the purpose is that you're pulling people into your ecosystem because you want to start a dialogue. You want people to see you as the go-to person for that area of specialization. So, you're not diverting anything. You're not saying, "Oh, my hobby is cooking and yet I'm a clinician." So it's like, well, hang on, we can still merge cooking and clinician together.
Yes.
We just have to find, aspects of cooking and aspects of clinician
Yes.
and merge it together. So it's not saying no to anything, it's saying yes to everything, but you have to make sense of the inventory so that the outside world understands it. In other words, we need to frame all of that inventory and communicate it in a way that my target audience will resonate with. Very important. So,
Yes.
language becomes a key part of this process. Framing it is a key part of this process. People are just babbling out. I can do this. Oh, did I tell you that I can do that? I can do that as well. But But people don't want that. Just be
No.
a master of your craft. One thing, stay in that lane, have that language, use that, frame it, pull people in, start the conversation, because that's what gives you confidence. That's the other thing. The effect of all of this is that you speak with conviction and you show up with absolute confidence. You want to be confident? Understand what you can do with ease and grace, stay in your lane, use the right language, and you will be heard. Really, it's that simple.
It is. And you know what? I made this t-shirt once. And it, like, because clients would ask me, what do I do? I'd be like, well, you're going to tell the truth. You got to find the truth, tell the truth, because the truth is always available. It's
Mhm.
just available. And like, it's almost like what you're describing is like when there's a confidence, when you just are comfortable with the truth and sharing it, right?
Yes, yes.
Now, let me ask you a question about this. Do you, I want to make sure I understand it because I may be projecting my own thing on it. The idea of becoming this brand, this, all of these ingredients, becoming it. One of the things I do here is I tell people, be the person, whatever that is, that you want, whatever job you want, be it, and then you'll have it, right? So like, is it that concept? It's like, I'm going to embrace and be this, and then I'm going to share it, commercialize it or whatever. But this is, I have to be it in order
Absolutely.
to,
You do. You have to
right? Is
be
that
it,
what
but
you mean?
also, yes, and also another layer on top of that, Alison, it's also understanding the projections that your mind are also telling you, because this is what people are driven by the thoughts that they have each day. And I keep on saying to my clients, just remember, you do have a mind virus, whether you believe it or not.
Yes.
Everyone else's projections is driving your destiny. So the question is, what are those thoughts that you're having each and every day? Are they constructive? Are they destructive? Are they moving you one step closer toward your goal or moving you away?
Yeah.
And so we have to, so what do I say? The sign off on all my posts is awareness is the name of the game. That's it. Awareness is the name of the game. When you're aware of your environment, your projections, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the discomfort, when you're aware of all of that, you're a very, very powerful person.
Completely.
You're powerful.
Wise
You're in control.
observer,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
And Alison, it's almost like you become stoic. You just become you have high awareness of your environment and the world at large. You're seeing things with such clarity. Nothing in the external world bothers you, because you can discern the truth from fiction. You can already see it. So whilst all this shenanigans is going off, you just get on with your day and moving towards your goals, your dream, whatever that is. But awareness to me is the name of the game, Alison. I can't stress that enough.
I could cry. You are one of the things that I say all the time on this woman's thing that I do is being awake and aware in the now without judgment. And
Mhm.
it's just so like, I feel so aligned with you and everything that you're saying. You bring the language that you use. And that's another thing that I really believe in, that I'm going to ask you to speak on, because I am like the semantics police, like to operationally define the word. Like I'm constantly saying, but what does that mean? That exact word? Like what do you, because I feel like words are so powerful, and
Yes.
language. And I heard you say that. And I would love to hear you speak about that, because that is like my passion. Semantics
Yes.
sounds weird.
Yes. No,
It's
no,
so
but you're right.
important.
It's very important. And in the work that I do, messaging is key.
Yes.
So you can see how people are reactive rather than responsive. So for me, when I'm talking, I'm really thinking about how I want your audience to actually receive the words that I'm using, I'm choosing to use. And it's not just spraying words and having a conversation with you. It's really thoughtfully framing what I want to say in the way that I want to say it. Even the backstory, the way that that is articulated is in a very specific way, because you're also working with a psyche. You want people to process it in a way where they're actually relaxed and they're absorbing the information, not just, like, when you're kind of listening to something in the background and you're doing something else, you're listening but you're not, you're listening to but you're not, and then somebody might say one thing in your podcast and you just stop and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like, wow, oh my God, now you've got my attention. That's what I mean by using the right language and framing. How do you actually make people stop and say, oh my God, I actually need this person?
Yeah.
So we need this. We need to understand the power of this also when we're business owners. So, for example, the people that I work with, they are using language and framing language in a way in their posts to pull people into a conversation. Okay, and um, we're not reacting, we're not pushing, we're actually pulling people into a conversation, into our ecosystem in such a beautiful way, and to start that conversation. And so when you can frame your language, you're going to pull in the right people, places, opportunities, and synchronicities in your life. And that, I can't stress that enough. It's such an important part of the human evolution. I truly believe that. Um,
I would
and
love to hear how. I love that. And is that along the lines of, I'm not sure because I'd really love to learn, is that along the lines of the concept? I know it's not exactly the same, but of allowing, because you're framing it, but you're saying pulling, but is it also just like the way that you're being your full self and then it just
yes,
draws in? Is it like
yes,
that?
exactly. Well, that's exactly right. I mean, when I'm writing my post, I'm writing it from a place of my heart, not my head.
Yeah.
I'm giving you what I feel. This is my
Yeah.
truth. I'm
Yeah.
not sugarcoating it, and I'm not being politically correct either. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be confined and by a mindset of making everyone else feel comfortable. I want to draw in my tribe who resonate with what I stand for in the way that I say it. So I'm not going to speak in a way that makes 99 people comfortable and one person uncomfortable. I want that one person. I'm only interested in that one person
Yes.
who will resonate with my language because they're like, oh my God, this person is speaking to me, not at me. The 99 other people, they want to be spoken at, not to, because because if you're not a critical thinker and you're not open and you're not willing and you don't have the desire, you're shut. You ain't going to listen to anything. You just want a quick fix all the time. My tribe don't want a quick fix. They have the will, they have the desire. They just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to become it, right? But they are open-minded. They all are, incredibly talented people with a lot of wisdom, in a lot of life experience. They're industry experts. And so they can hear me. And that's the other thing, Alison. It's also knowing who you want to speak to. I don't want to speak to 8 billion people, Alison. I'm not interested in that. I'm just interested in speaking to my tribe who self-identify as industry experts. That's it. Anyone that falls outside of that, you can come to me. I will never say no. But I'm specifically speaking to industry experts in a language that I know they will understand.
That's really, really cool. There was something that I put on the shelf that you had said that I wanted to just bring back because I just wanted people to hear a little more clarity. I know we probably have to end, but
Oh,
just,
no, it's okay. Keep going. You're fine.
yeah,
I'm
the,
with you.
the thing that when you were describing a mind virus,
Yes.
I love that language. And, you were saying, and our thoughts being on a loop, and that we all hear this over and over again as data, right? That the thoughts we think today are the same, 91% of them the same thoughts we thought yesterday, blah blah blah. We hear it all the time. But what I want to, if you could expound upon that, like even just an example, because I just want people, I understand what you mean, but I want people to like be able to relate it to themselves. Like the, you were saying we all have these mind viruses, right? And that we all, this is, I'm trying to think of what you said. You said, and that the projections of others on
Yes.
us. And I would love for you to, I want people to be able to hear what the projections are, that just like, because we are blind to them. There are blind spots, right?
100%. I mean, these are our thoughts, so the mind virus to me is just like, I mean, we could even take it one step further, and I do believe this, that, whilst we have these thoughts that are feeding us and driving us. So it's not just the feeding of the thoughts. The thoughts, if you're unconscious of them, are actually driving your destiny, whether you like it or not. Some might call this law of attraction or whatever. I just believe it's a mind virus, and it's like a shield from getting you to who you truly are at a soul level. So the soul condition is where our creative genius is. It's like the artist that's waiting for the creative genius to be activated. So it prevents us from that activation, because we're constantly here when the soul's here saying, hang on, I'm a genius. Like I really want you to be this version of you, but yet you're going into this version of you, which is the false self. So what happens is that this mind virus then allows us to, or gives us permission actually, to show up in the world with this facade. Look at what I drive, look at my car, look at, I've got this, look at my 2 carat diamond. I know you got a 1/2 carat, but I got a 2. It's all this facade. It's all about the materialistic world. And it's the worship of the ego. That's what it becomes. We worship the ego. We protect that mind virus at all costs, because we don't have the will and the desire to go to the soul level. So to get to the soul, we need to be aware of what's actually happening on a day-to-day basis as a physical being. My thoughts, all we have to do is ask ourselves, is this the reality that I love? Like, have I created a beautiful reality? Is this the life that I really want to live? And if the answer is no, something's wrong.
Yes.
There's your answer. Something's wrong. So the next question is, what is wrong? And it's not the external. This is the whole thing that you and I have been talking about. The external world is the projection on the internal world. So this is why the mind virus now is playing havoc. It's having a field day controlling us, as in who I truly am, and it's covering that part up, and it's saying, playing tricks on me, saying, oh, that car, that defines you. That business that you had, that defines you. That apartment, that defines you. So all of the materialistic things become our worship. That's what we're worshiping. So now, to get to the soul level, to that artist, to unleash that creative genius, not even unleash it, we need to activate it. It's already there, just needs to be activated. That's why awareness is the name of the game, Alison, because when you're aware of the mind virus, then you can do something about it. That's the thing. Once you take action, there ain't no turning back. You will never be the same person ever again, because once you're aware of the mind virus, it can't control you again.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing? Like, that to me
Yes.
is like, what? And so when you start playing with this idea, and then you start focusing on the emotions, because that mind virus also feeds the emotions. So if you're always angry, frustrated, stuck, feeling isolated, all of these negative, terrible, dysfunctional emotions, the mind virus and the emotion are 100% connected. It's just this cycle that never ends. It's like, I'm always in the same place, disguised differently. I'm always feeling the same emotion. I'm always feeling dissatisfied. So, well, why? That's why. Why are you feeling like that? What is going on? Self-inquiry is the starting point to all of this, because that leads to a much deeper rabbit hole. When you step into that rabbit hole and you start to really understand who you are, and I just feel I'm only scratching the surface. I mean, I'm way ahead of most people in terms of my knowledge, but I've only scratched the surface. That's just nothing. So, but I'm aware enough to understand that when I get the trigger, that's the sign to say stop, feel, just process it out, write it out, pray it out, whatever you need to do. Because, Alison, for me, my goal, my absolute driver is to ensure that I activate as much of my true self at a soul level as I possibly can. My driver is not how much money I make. My driver is activating my soul. That's all I care of. My mind and my soul is what I protect at all costs. That's my ultimate goal every day. And everything is the effect of all of that. And that to me is what I call the law of attraction. And, it's not a self-help book. It really is me taking control of what I want to protect, which is my mind and my soul.
Holy snapperoos. We are together on purpose. Today,
Yes.
just all of it. It's meant, it is like, I feel like I'm swimming in my soul right now because it's seriously like basically what's this whole thing is everything that I'm doing at home. And like I honestly, now this is really like weird. Maybe it's my ego, who knows? But I'm like, I manifested her. She's here because I manifested her.
Wow. I love all that. Like
No,
I'll say yes to that. I'm saying yes to
but I
that.
mean, I didn't mean it like in like a weird like
Oh no, no,
way,
I know
but
what you mean. I know what you mean.
the things that you're describing, the depth of creativity, the soul,
Mhm.
I feel like this is what's happening on our planet or the universe, that there's this awakening, like this bursting of like the seeds popping out of the ground, where people
Yes.
are finally, hopefully seeing or
Yes.
seeing themselves a bit, right?
Yes. Yes.
You know what
Yes.
hides me? What hides me is the insecurity, any like feeling like insecure, and then people pleasing. That's that little thing where, okay, now if I'm not good, the FOMO, I'm not going to do all the things that everyone else is doing because I want to go and feel the vibration of this flower. And I'm really not even kidding. Like I can go out in the by trees and I'm in my absolute glory. Like I feel like I'm communing, like I'm just, coming out of the closet as a tree hugger right now. But I lost my husband. And when I lost my husband, all I did was spend time with trees and flowers and grass.
Wow. Wow.
And I could cry my eye. All of the love that I needed came from there.
Wow.
And that is where because my soul, nothing was left. My soul was there with them, and they loved and comforted me. I could feel them if I would just walk, and I could feel them cuddling me, embracing me energetically. I mean it. And I just
Oh,
knew, like, and it's like we need this like broader awakening, I think. But I just trailed down this other whole path of like but what you're saying is it's so deep. And I think that we spread out as opposed to honing in head, heart, feet, all in the same spot, and just going, I want to say down, but I want to within, like going into like our core, you know, and I think that it's a whole new way of being, isn't it?
and you
I
know
don't
what?
know. Yeah. Tell me.
Just going to say that it's a whole new way of being, but it is our natural way of being. It's just
Yes.
we forgot that, Alison.
Yes.
Because you see, just think about it. I mean, look at the media. We don't have a TV in our home, and we haven't had a TV since 2012. So it's, what is it, 11 years now. People find that really fascinating. They're like, "What? You don't have a TV?" And I'm like, "No, why would I?" and they're like, "Oh my God, how do you kind of get your news?" And I'm like, "News? I don't, the news is not news. Like, are
I don't
you
watch
serious?
the news.
I
I don't
mean,
watch
are
TV
you kidding
either.
me?"
No, I
And
don't watch
so
TV. Mhm,
I just have no interest in all of that, you know. So
mhm.
I and that is because, as I said before, I protect my soul and my mind at all costs. That means anything that's not going to enhance my life experience or move me closer to my big goal, forget it. It doesn't get any airtime at all. I mean, even Allison, you know, my son is 13. He plays pro tennis, so he trains every day. And it's interesting when you see other parents, you know, at the tennis club, you know, everyone's got projections, you know, the parents are there behind in the shadow of the kid, do this, do this. And I'm looking at this one parent that comes to my mind and I'm thinking, like, seriously? Like, just let the kid express himself. It doesn't matter if he makes some mistakes. It doesn't matter if he wins or loses. It doesn't matter. The child must express and figure it out for themselves. Like, what is wrong with people? And so you could see the projections. And this one particular father, he kept on projecting on my son. And my kids, they're already trained, you know, to think in the way that I do. So they're pretty out there. And my 13-year-old said to this dad, look, thank you for the advice, but I already have a coach and you're not my coach. So I just really need to be very clear on my boundaries
Oh, I love
because
it.
coach will give me this advice and you're giving me this advice, and I just would really appreciate it if you just don't give me that advice. And the parent just gets thrown because my son has challenged his ego, and they you can see people cannot handle it. So it
Yes.
tells you the society that we live in, Alison. It's like if somebody, people can't handle the truth. That's the bottom line. But yet, as you said before, the truth will set you free because it's always available. You're spot on.
It is available, isn't it? It really
Mhm.
is. You know, I'm brought to this silly story. My son was 4 years old. It's a long time ago. He's 4 years old. We were in church and he got hurt and he was crying. And a woman in the church said, "Oh, Luke, you're all right. You're all right." He's like, "How can you tell me I am all right?"
I love him already.
It's just interesting. Like they catch this stuff. He started
Oh,
saying, I'm not all right. It hurt. And
it's
like we're like he's like, and like he's allowed to cry. Like, who are you? Like he was so insulted. And
I just I
isn't
love
it
it.
isn't it we're so programmed to
Mm.
break out and to be who we really are. Like I don't ever want to stop talking to you.
Oh, I love you, Alison. Thank you so much. I mean, look, you know, these conversations I think are very, very important, and I think that, you know, just opening up these conversations also allows other people to self-identify themselves in the conversation, you know. And I truly believe, and one of my mentors said to me, you know, what will you do with all this knowledge? You've empowered yourself, you've got so much. He said, what will you do with it? And I'm like, oh, well, I don't want people to think that I'm woo woo. And he said, you must pass the baton. You must do something. You must give it away. And that's why when my clients work with me, I do give it away because he's right. He's absolutely right. When you want to transform yourself, you know, we have to be in a position where we can share and open ourselves up, because one person's story could change somebody else's trajectory. And I truly, truly am a big believer in that. I really do.
Mary, when you said the word woo woo, I have a philosophy. I'm sure it's not my own, but the philosophy is that we have been sold a lie, another lie, that woo woo has been showcased as people who are scattered,
Yes.
don't have jobs, who
Yes.
are smelling the flowers and whatever, wearing prairie skirts and all of this stuff, and that are not culturally current, and they're not smart, and all of that. We've been taught that, and
Yes.
I think that what almost our, I feel like it's my obligation to communicate the truth about this scientific
Yes,
quantum reality that is
100%.
not woo woo, that
No.
is, it's woohoo. It is like, let us show you, right? Let us show you our bliss.
I love
Like,
it. I
why,
love it.
why have we been taught to hide bliss? That
Yeah,
happiness is
yeah,
not a sin. Where did we learn this? Hide
yeah. Well,
yourself, hide your joy, hide you,
exactly, Alison. Oh my God, yes. And
right?
yeah, well,
I'm
this is the
reaching for something that I want to show
Well, the
you
thing
before
is
we
that,
go.
I think that a lot of people have created this whole idea and philosophy around not just woo woo, but also the connection with your higher power, whether you call it God or whatever. And, I am just so open about that. I am not afraid to say, like I do spend a lot of time in prayer and, like
Yes,
contemplation, and people can say whatever they like. I don't care. That's the truth. In my reality,
yes,
that's the truth.
yes,
And I feel that you said it beautifully. You have an obligation. When you have the knowledge, you have an obligation to pass it on. I am absolutely aligned with that.
yes. I really, and I think that it's a calling. I had this like supernatural experience that was I kept saying, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but it must be I'm supposed to. So I kept saying, I have all this, all this success, counseling centers, whatever, the perceived success, right? And I kept saying, it was recently, I kept saying, but what is my purpose? I was in a meditation, I was praying, what is my purpose? And anyone would be like, your purpose, you're doing it. No, but what is my real purpose? What is my real purpose? And what I heard was and it was so profound. You hear it in your mind's eye. I could just feel it, and I just knew it. And it was that it's to know you have two things. There's only two things for you to do. That's it. It's to know your lovability and then show other people theirs. That's it. I'm
I
like,
just
that's it. And it made it, it brought all of my reality everything that didn't feel like my purpose. Now I got it. Makes sense. What's
Wow.
more than that? I have to know
Nothing.
how lovable
Yeah.
I am, my lovability, and
Mhm.
and that was the first thing I had to do. Once I got that, now just spread it. Show everybody else theirs. I want to read something that I had to read, didn't have to read today. It was part of my spiritual practice this morning. I'm just going to read it. I don't know why. What the hell? Let's jump. All right. So today I reclaim my natural right to live free and awake. Without fear or worry, I live my life from the wonderful vision I have created in my mind's eye. My inner talking is filled with powerful beliefs, and my imagination is filled with the life of my dreams. I detach and let go of when or how things will happen, and for I already have it all in my inner world. I trust in the laws of the universe, and I have accepted my dream life. And
Mm.
and then it goes on to talk about the collective consciousness and how it
Mhm.
is our responsibility to be all that we are as humans. Now, that's why I'm saying I manifested you. I didn't mean I did. It was just so aligned that this was today what I was reading. And then it talked about the collective consciousness that that it is our contribution, it is our part of being who we are fully and knowing it, that is creating the collective what is it? It's the bridges of incidences are the things that are contributing to the world, right? So
Yes.
us loving ourselves, knowing ourselves, really knowing the soul, right? Doesn't that
So
add to the collective consciousness?
yes, it
Changes
does.
it.
It does change it, because then we're coming from a creative standpoint, not a materialistic
Yes.
standpoint. And creativity is a very, very powerful currency. If you have a look at art, that's why art is so powerful, because it's the artist that actually is painting from the soul. Like, that's why when you go to a museum, you get so moved by, I don't know if you've ever been to Giverny in France, to Monet's
No.
original home. Oh my God, Alison,
Should I
you
go?
know, so well, the thing is that you're going to his actual property, like the house, the lily ponds. It's like I got goosebumps as I'm saying to you. There's a gallery there with all of his paintings and even his plates and his forks and everything in the house. But you walk in there and you walk into this amazing garden, and it's you can see that the artist is expressing from the soul level. It's not materialistic level. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
because the house is not like this castle and wow, you're walking into the 32 bedroom home. It's not. It's a very, very quaint, little cottage house. And you look at that and you think, like, this artist is so famous and so like amazing, that just that level of creativity and intelligence, where did that come from? Because that's not ego driven,
No.
that's soul driven. That had to come from
Yes.
another place. So
Yes.
that's why when we look at artists, we should look at artists as a why and how did they get there. Why were they like that? What did they do? That what did they know that I didn't know? And
Yeah.
it's exactly what I'm saying, what we're talking about. It's not woo woo, you're spot on. It's understanding how to get to that soul level, because once you get there, there's no turning back, which is why we need to transcend our thoughts and our emotions and be aware of them to get there. It's like the mind virus is the block, and its connection to the emotions is the block to the soul, because we're constantly thinking, rinsing and repeat the same thoughts every single day that are driving us to one place, our own self-destruction.
Oh my God, that's our mic drop right there. I
Mhm.
just have to say that I'm so affirmed by just spending time with you, and I just feel so I'm so grateful. I mean, I'm so, like, you have no idea, grateful. It's such a confirmation for me. Um and I just love how our insides are the drivers of
Mhm.
our externals, and you can see it, like you and I being here together
Mm.
is comforts me to know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in my inside right now, because we're together. It shows me that I'm connecting to the right people. So I'm so
Yes.
grateful for you, and I don't want you to leave me. I want you to be my friend forever.
It would
I'm
be
not
my honor.
kidding.
It would be my honor to be your friend forever. It would be an honor. And it's funny that when you should say that, because I always say to people, when you find your tribe, you hold on to them. It's
Yes. It's so
like
weird because I don't know, I was just read something. It was my other thing. I'm gonna take a picture and send it to you after this. But it was
please.
talked about your soulmates, and that it's not just your male or whatever, your
Yes.
romantic partner,
Yes.
that you're gonna meet them, and when you meet them, you're gonna know it. And I feel
Yes.
like you're my soulmate, one of my
Oh,
soulmates. Yeah, I
my
really
God.
mean it. I
I just
feel
feel
it.
so emotional as you say that. I really do.
It's
Actually,
true.
as we've been talking today, I just have had this moments of just this emotion that's just been rising up, a
Yeah.
beautiful emotion, just talking to you. And you're right. It's just confirmation that the two souls are dancing together. I just think that it's such a gift. It really is such a gift. When you're aligned in yourself, you will be aligned with the right people. It's
Yeah.
just the law of nature. It cannot
Yeah.
work any other way.
Yes. And like like I feel like we're like pilgrims right now.
Yes, yes, I
We're
agree.
like cutting down the trees, like we're the
Yes.
ones, like, because there's so many people who haven't heard this yet, you know? It's just
So true.
it's like it's an honor to be at this time in life, right? Everyone listening, I just ask that you really, like, just stop, breathe, absorb, maybe rewind, take in how this applies to your soul and parts of you that you're not seeing, or parts of you that you long for that you haven't seen yet, because that's what this will probably raise up inside of you. You'll probably feel those moments of emotion where you're like, oh my God, when she said soul creating, there's a part of me that needs to create, and you maybe have never done anything creative and you don't know why you feel that way. It would be very natural for you to feel that, because we're all creators and we have lost our way. And it's not anyone's fault here. It's just there's a lot of clamor out there. So just it's the still small voice, hopefully that's the loudest. So I want to thank you, Mary. And would you tell us, everyone, where they can find you,
Yes.
and anything else you want to say is welcomed?
Absolutely. If anyone wants to get on a call with me, please book a free coaching call. That's totally available to anyone, which is maryhenderson.com/apply, APPLY. Go to my website, Mary Henderson Coaching. Connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Mary Henderson Coaching, or Instagram, same Mary Henderson Coaching, or feel free to send me an email, mary@maryhendersoncoaching.com.
And all of that information is going to be in the show notes. And I just adore you. Is there any other drop that you would like to say before we go?
I want to say, and I was actually thinking about this while we were talking,
Yeah.
Alison, I think it's really important to mention, we spend so much time on looking at our past story and our past history, and we keep on regurgitating, why did that happen to me? Why did my mother do this to me? Why? And we go back into the story over and over again. What I encourage people to do is this: drop the story. The story's been and gone. The thing your mother cannot change in that story, or your father, or your best friend, or your boss, or your ex-husband or ex-wife. What we need to understand is what those people don't understand is how you feel, and they can't change that. Only you can change that. The memory of the story is the feeling. It's not the story. The story's been and gone. So what we need to do is we need to be accountable for the feeling and the emotion. Only we can transcend it. The person who hurt us cannot do that because they can't feel it inside our body. So therefore the story is null and void. It's been and gone. What we need to do is come face to face with the feeling and the emotion, and we are the only ones that can control that, not the external person. So I just want to leave it on that note.
That's beautiful. It's great. It really is. I love that. Thank you so, so much.
Thanks, Alison. Thanks for having me. I
It's such an
appreciate you so
honor.
much.
Bye,
Thank
love
you.
bug.